Okay, what does a sexless marriage mean? When we talk about it clinically, we're talking about not having had sex in at least 6 months. Okay, now that's putting some things into perspective because some of y'all are like, well, it's not really sexless. I mean, we do it, every year on his birthday. Boo-boo. That's it. That is sexless. If you are just doing it once or twice a year, sorry to tell you, you're in a sexless marriage or a sexless relationship. Hi, I'm Dr. Tiff, your relationship transformation coach. I've spent the past 20 years working with high-achieving women just like you who are crushing it in every area of their lives, everywhere except their relationships. And look, I get it. Finding the one ain't easy, and relationships are hard. But you know what's even harder? Cycling through the bad ones, or worse, staying in relationships when you already know they're not a good fit. You want a relationship of ease, uncomplicated, someone to love you down. But instead, you've been suffering through bad dates, sexual incompatibility, and someone who might be good for somebody, but not for you. And if we're really being honest, you know that deep down, the work that really needs to be done starts and ends with you. If you're done wasting time in dead-end relationships and sick of looking for, chasing after, or trying to convince somebody to be the one, and you're ready to become the one, then baby, you're in the right place. So prop your feet and let's clink glasses, because I'm giving you the tea and the tips to fix your relationships. Let's go. Hey guys, welcome back to Fix Your Relationships podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Tiff, and today we have a show that I have been waiting very long time to talk to you about. We really haven't had this discussion before on the podcast. I think we've had it. I know I've had it on other podcasts. I don't think that I've had it on our podcast. So I'm really excited to talk to you about something today that is impacting 1 in 4 marriages in the United States. And I'm going to just tease that for a little bit and see if you can guess what that is. But in the meantime, in between time, how are you liking the show? We have kind of a new format here where I am giving more information rather than interviewing. And I'm hoping that the information that we've been providing is helpful. And certainly if it is, I would love it, love it, if you would be so kind to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. It's one of the very few ways in which I know that you're enjoying the show because, let's face it, podcasting is not an interactive medium, okay? It's not the interview style for me, or at least this podcast isn't necessarily an interview style. It's not call in. I don't get to hear from you very much. So I don't get your feedback on how you are digesting and enjoying the content that I'm putting out. And so one of the ways that you can let me know how you feel about what's going on and really what you're liking, because what you're liking is what I want to do more of because I want to be able to meet your needs. So one way to do that is to review. So if you haven't done so already, I would really ask that you leave a review on the podcast so that I can know what you're liking and enjoying. And it also helps other women to find this type of content. So if they're looking for something for help with their relationships, just by submitting the reviews, it helps to kind of bump the podcast up a little bit so that other people that are looking for this type of content can find it more easily. So if you would be so kind to do that for me, I would love you for life. Okay? All right. So today we are going to talk about, like I said, something that I have not talked about in depth in this podcast, but I think it's something that's super, super important because in all my years of working with women and their partners, this has come up several times. So it's something that I'm very familiar in working with. And I think I hope that you're not suffering from this, but if you are, I just need you to know your girl's got you. I got you. There's help. I'm going to give you some strategy today. And certainly I'm going to give you some options if you need even more help after we finish this conversation. So today we are talking about scheduling sex. Most people hate to hear me coming when I start talking about scheduling sex. And the reason why is because scheduling sex doesn't sound very sexy. It doesn't sound very sexy, but I'm gonna try my best, especially for those of us who find themselves in a sexless marriage. I'm gonna try my best to convince you that scheduling is the way to go. So how scheduling, I want to talk to you today about how scheduling sex can actually improve your relationship. Now, did you know that approximately 15 to 25% of married couples, did you know that approximately 15 to 25% of married couples in the US experience what is called a sexless marriage? A sexless marriage. Not trying to call nobody out, okay? If you're experiencing that now, there's help and there's hope if you want it to be. But that number is staggering. That means 1 in 4. Okay. 1 in 4 married people are in a sexless marriage. Okay. What does a sexless marriage mean? Okay. It's generally defined. You define it how you want to, but when we talk about it clinically, we're talking about not having had sex in at least 6 months. Okay. Now that's putting some things into perspective because some of y'all are like, well, it's not really sexless. I mean, we do it, every year on his birthday. Boo boo. That's it. That's it. That is sexless. Some folks are having it less than that. If you are just doing it once or twice a year, probably so. Sorry to tell you, you're in a sexless marriage or a sexless relationship. Okay. And that's not necessarily, it's not always for a bad reason. Okay. There are plenty of reasons why people find themselves in sexless relationships. Let's just talk about illness, right? If you are going through something traumatic, whether that be, some sort of illness or recovery from injury, or something like that, or disability, perhaps, that could be a reason why sex has not been a priority for you in a relationship. And so it's not about, I do want to make sure that we make this distinction. It's not always about sexual desire that is causing us to kind of get in a rut and not have sex as often as we might like. Sometimes it's circumstance. Sometimes it's illness. Sometimes it's just physiological changes that are going on in the body that just make us not be as intentional about our intimate relationships. Could also be a sign or a symptom of sexual dysfunction, right? If your organs and parts aren't functioning in the way that they need to in order for you to perform in the way that you need to, a lot of times it can impact our desire to be more sexual. Let me say that again. You guys know I'm leaving room so that things can just come to me. I have prepared some notes here today, but I'm just really trying to be open to things that I have not prepared for coming to me. When we talk about sexual dysfunction, and I don't want to go off on too big of a tangent, but sometimes with sexual dysfunction, we can get in our heads about the thing that we're not performing in the way that we want to perform. And that can sometimes cause us to not want to be sexual or not want to initiate activity. For example, if we're dealing with someone who has sexual pain disorder, sex is very painful. And I think probably in a future episode, I'll talk a little bit about sexual pain because I think that's something that we don't talk about enough. But another topic for another day. If you've got a sexual pain disorder, meaning that every time that you have sex, it's painful, that's going to make you less motivated to have sex. And if it's always painful and you don't have an opportunity or haven't found a solution for relief, it's going to make you not want to have sex as often. And so I've had many patients in my private practice who have said that, it's painful. That's why I don't want to do it. That's why I don't do it. And that's why we're not doing it. So again, a reason why, not that that's the solution, like we still have to find a solution to help with that if we can. But again, there are plenty of reasons why couples aren't having sex as often as they would like. Maybe disinterest. Maybe that's just, sex just really isn't your thing. You don't think about it very much. Perhaps, and I see this a lot too, there's anger. Maybe some residual hurt and disappointment and anger from, let's say, an infidelity. I've seen sex used as punishment in relationships. Sometimes it's like, you did this thing, so I'm withholding sex from you. So that sometimes can lead into those longer term patterns of not having sex. And depending on the thing that was done that made you go to that place of not wanting to have sex with that person, and the severity of it and the length of time and what had happened, some couples will find themselves in a rut that is 6 months or more because of that thing that happened in the past that was never addressed. Okay. Ding, ding, ding. Address the issue. Address the issue. So I'm getting ahead of myself. I don't want to go there too fast. Another reason, this is the last reason I'm going to bring up, I think, incompatibility. Some people are not having sex because the sex ain't good. Or they feel like they just are mismatched, incompatible with the sex, which is also something that we can work on, right? So how do we get around that? It's important to me to understand the why, like why we're not having sex as often as we might like. But I also want you to remember to make sure that your expectations of how much sex you should be having is realistic. I'm going to give you another statistic. The average American couple is actually having sex once per week. Let me say that again. The average American couple is having sex about once per week, 4 times a month. For some of you, that's going to sound like a lot. And for others of you, it's going to be like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize it was that low. Oh, we're fine. We're better than we thought. We're doing it twice a week. Okay. So making sure that you are understanding what it is that you're comparing yourself to. But if we're just going on averages here, like once a week, you're probably fine. If you want to do it more, that's fine. If you want to do it less, that's fine. But if you are noticing that it's not as much as you would like, I'm going to give you some tips today to help you to make it more of a priority. And my number one tip is to schedule it. And I know you don't want to hear that, but here's what scheduling does. Okay. Number one, it puts it on the calendar. Duh. It puts it on the calendar. And I say this as someone who, my ADHD brain doesn't remember everything. I remember the important things or the things that are important to me. But I may not remember a lot of details about it. And those things that are important to me, the things that I absolutely don't want to, cannot forget. You know what I do? I put them on my calendar. I put them on my calendar. I schedule it. If I have a dental appointment, now, when you go to the dentist or to the doctor, they schedule your appointments like 6 months, a year out. Okay. Do you think I'm going to remember that? I'm not. I will not. My brain is not having it. Okay. I'm not going to remember it. And so those things, if I want to remember those things, I put it on my calendar. If I make dinner reservations somewhere, I had my husband and I went out with a couple of friends the other night, but we made these reservations. I had to make the reservations like 2 weeks in advance. Why did I do that? Why did I put it on my calendar? Because I wanted to remember that I made the reservation 2 or 3 weeks in advance. Do you think I'm going to remember that? I might have remembered, kind of in the general vicinity of the date. I don't know that I would have remembered the time. I don't know that I would have necessarily remembered exactly where we planned to eat at because it changed over the course of those couple of weeks. So anything that is important to you, you schedule. If you have a deadline at work, what do? You put it on your calendar. You set a reminder for it because it's important. You don't want to miss it. Your relationship has to be the same, sis. If there are things in your relationship that you want to do, you want to make sure that you do, you schedule it. And I know scheduling sex does not sound sexy. I get it. But you know what else isn't sexy? Not having sex. So if you want to have more of it, I think you are going to have to put it on your calendar. That is what will signal to you that, I need to make sure that I am remembering it, right? Number 2, in order for sex to be more of a priority, you have to prioritize it. This is, and I know that, again, but this is work that you have to do. You have to, if what you want to do is improve your sex life, then you have to make your sex life a priority, right? If you want to improve, let's say your goal is to run a 10K. Or a 5K. Let's start with a 5K, okay? Let's be for real. Let's say your goal is to do a 5K, right? How do you make running a priority? Well, you start maybe by getting up earlier in the morning or making time in your day to practice running, and you do that ahead of time. You don't do it the morning of. You don't think about it the morning of and say, oh, today I'm going to go running. No, you set an intention and you say, hey, if I want to run this 5K 3 months from now, that means that at least 3 days a week, I'm going to have to get up early so I can start, my stretches and running and maybe making some overnight oats or having some grab and go food that I can take with me, and just making sure that my body is, ready for this run, that I'm hydrated, that I'm doing all the things that I need to do to prepare myself so that 3 months from now I can do it. I don't set the reminder or put on my calendar that the 5K is in 3 months and then never do anything to be intentional about my preparation or to prioritize doing well at this 5K. I have to do things along the way to make sure that when the 5K comes, I'm ready. Same thing for our sexual lives with our partners. If we want to be more intimate with our partner, we have to be intentional about intimacy. We have to prioritize it. We have to make sure that other things don't come in its place. Back to the running analogy. If my goal is to run this 5K and at every opportunity to get up, I'm pressing snooze, or I decide, you know what? Rather than, going on a quick run, I'd rather, hang out with my friends, or I'd rather, get some work done or do some online shopping, or I would rather, go gardening, whatever. Perhaps I am not prioritizing the thing that I said I wanted to do better at. So if you want to do better with, improve your sexual relationship, scheduling, yes, putting it on the calendar, but also prioritizing it, meaning putting it a little higher on your to-do list and saying, I am going to do this before I do certain other things. I'm going to make sure this part of my relationship is taken care of before I go and do other things. I think it's super common, especially for women in this age and stage, to get very distracted. We have a lot going on. We have a lot to do. We have a lot on our plates. We say yes, way too much. We're taking on a lot of tasks. We're multitasking and doing all the different things and being the bosses and all the stuff, right? But because of that, we are spread thin. And a lot of times our relationships tend to suffer because of it. We prioritize everything over the relationship because we take for granted that the relationship is just going to be there. But then 6 months later, you realize you haven't been intimate with your partner, and you wonder why there's a decline in your satisfaction in the relationship. Well, it's because you haven't been prioritizing it, sis. Okay? You haven't. So that is your second thing, making sure that you put sex, intimacy, connecting with your partner on a schedule, and make it more of a priority, meaning you tend to it and you think about it a little bit more, and you are more intentional about getting it done. All right. And then lastly, and this is also a no-brainer, right? Talk about it. You got to talk to your partner about it. Sometimes you will be so surprised with all of the couples that I've ever worked with, that have found themselves in a rut and not having sex as often as they would like, that they don't even talk about the fact that they don't have sex. This is a conversation, okay? If you have not had sex in a while and you want to have sex, perhaps you should talk about it. And I'm not saying wait until you're in the bed to talk about it, or during that birthday sex that you talk about it, but I'm talking about outside of it. You're thinking about it outside of the bedroom. Anyway, go ahead and bring up the conversation. Hey, I just am noticing that we're not as intimate as we used to be. I thought that perhaps it was because you had a lot on your plate at work, or because the kids really needed you and you were really tired, or because of the illness that we were going through, or the moving, or whatever it is. But I'm just noticing that we're not connecting in an intimate way. And I really want to improve that part of our relationship. You got to have these conversations to understand the why, to understand like what could be impacting it. Like you may find out, oh, it really isn't the fact that I'm working a lot. I actually do have a lot of energy for it. I have been thinking about it. I just thought that maybe you didn't want to because you didn't initiate. You never know why the other person might be resisting, initiating sex or being more intimate, or why you haven't had it as often as you'd like until you have these conversations, right? And this also, once you understand your partner's why and you start to understand even your own why, you can begin to make adjustments, and not only make adjustments, but hold each other accountable. Oh, I realize, you know what? I have been putting my work before us, or bringing my work into the bedroom and working every night until I fall asleep. And I didn't realize that that was impacting the way that we connect with each other and are being intimate. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to make sure that at least once a week that I don't bring my work to bed. We'll start with one day a week, or at least twice a week, or I won't bring it to bed on the weekends, or, whatever kind of adjustments you need to make. I'll make sure that if you don't initiate it in 3 days, that I'll initiate it. And if I haven't initiated it after 3 days, that you initiate it. That it's not on one person to do so. Understand the why and make adjustments. That's all you had to do. So just to recap, if you want to improve intimacy, improve sex in your relationship, not the quality of sex, because that's a whole nother podcast episode, okay? Not the quality, but the quantity. My top tip, my top thing that I recommend is scheduling it, right? Putting it on your calendar, making sure you're prioritizing it, front of mind, set a reminder, make sure you're putting things at the top of your to-do list that you want to improve. And really talking about it, understanding why things have changed and what types of adjustments you can make in order to get things back on track, okay? I want you to try these things and let me know how it works for you. Email me at support@drtiffanyhenry.com. And if you'd like a little extra support, I would love to coach you through it. I have a few openings this month for coaching, for one-on-one coaching, and I'd really love to see you, meet you, and help you exceed your relationship goals. So if you'd like to set up a coffee chat with me to see if one-on-one coaching is right for you, again, just email me at support@drtiffanyhenry.com or tap the link in the show notes and we can do that, okay? All right, it's been a great episode today, and I hope you have learned a little something and that you're scheduling sex, all right? This has been Fix Your Relationships Podcast. I'll talk to you next week. Hey, babe, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. My goal with this podcast is to bless you with information that helps you fix those relationships that are most important to you, but not before you do the self-work needed to make sure that those relationships thrive. If this episode was exactly what you needed, then guess what? Somebody else probably needs it too. So do me and them a favor. Please share this episode with your good girlfriend and let her know about the podcast. And while you're at it, hop on over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review. This really helps to grow the podcast and puts it right in front of other women who are desperate to work on their relationships and themselves. And if you haven't done so already, I want to invite you to join our community of like-minded women all on a journey to become the one. You can sign up for free at becometheone.myflowdesk.com/email. I know that's a lot, so just go on over to the show notes and click that link there. Thanks again for listening to Fix Your Relationships with Dr. Tiff. I'll see you right back here next week.